Hi guys, and welcome back to the Law of Attraction Life Coaching Podcast. My name is Laura. If you don't know me already, welcome to the channel. Do me a solid and give me a subscribe. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, feel free to give it a thumbs down. It helps me to work out what kind of content you guys want. This video is going to be a slightly longer one, I think, and actually I might do it in 3 parts. So we'll see how long it comes out as, and then maybe we'll split it into 3 parts. But either way, I'm going to put some timestamps in the bottom for you. So breaking up this video into kind of different parts so you can kind of go through it a bit easier if you need to. So presently we are in November, towards the end of November 2020. And we are going through a second lockdown at the moment in COVID, which is bringing other dimensions to the topic that I'm going to talk about at this current moment of time. But this advice works across the board. So if you are suffering from this issue, it's going to be able to help you regardless of when you're watching this video. So what are we talking about today? Okay, well, we're going to be talking about relationships and about what to do if you've hit A, a stumbling block in a relationship and you're worried that you're going to break up. B, if you have broken up and how to deal with that and the fallout from that. And C, if you have decided to stay together, how you can actually kind of keep the relationship on the forefront and going well. So it's going to be a 3-part relationship. You know, are we breaking up? And excuse me looking down because I got notes. Are we breaking up? Yes. What to do? No. What to do? Okay. So it's going to be a 3-part kind of thing, and we're gonna work through it. First of all, you guys are having problems and you're thinking about breaking up. Okay, the first 2 questions that I want you to ask yourself is, number 1, are you kidding yourself? And number 2, are you being pessimistic? Okay. I've had, during lockdown, a lot of people contacting me because their sex life has gone out of the window during lockdown. You know, and this could also be, quite a few of them had children as well recently. So this could also be that you have had a child or you're going through a stressful situation, okay? Which we're in lockdown at the moment, which is a stressful situation. So first of all, stressful situations, they impact your libido, okay? Stress is a huge, huge dampener on most people's sex life. If you've been through a bereavement, if you're going through stress problems at work, you've been laid off, there's redundancy, we're going through a flipping pandemic, which is making you anxious. You're probably not going to feel very sexy, to be honest, guys. The likeliness of you wanting to be having sex at this current moment in time is pretty low. If you're having sex once a month, once every fortnight, just take that as okay. Okay, you know, people think that you're supposed to be having sex every day, every week, every whatever. You know, find your rhythm with your partner. You know, excuse the pun. Find your rhythm with your partner as to what works for you both. People's libidos are completely different, okay, and they're not like linear, you know, they're transient. They go up and down depending on what's happening in people's lives. So first of all, if you're not having loads of sex in lockdown, or you're not having loads of sex in a stressful situation, let up on yourself. Let up on yourself, okay? Don't add fuel to a fire that's unnecessary. Yeah, your relationship isn't going to crumble if you don't have sex for a month. Okay, and if it does crumble because you haven't had sex for a month, you need to question yourself what kind of a relationship you had in the first place. Because relationships aren't all about sex. They're a big part of it, yes, because that's something that breeds intimacy with our relationship, with our partner, but it isn't the end all and be all. Okay, and if you're planning on having a relationship with this person where you go on to have, you know, children, or I mean, kids are the death of most people's sex lives in some way or regard, because it brings a whole new dimension. You know, you don't feel sexy, you're exhausted. You know, women's bodies go through hell giving birth. You know, they're tired, they're exhausted, their hormones are shot. The same thing for a longer term period. You know, women and women's libidos change at different times in their lives, and they don't work together. You know. women tend to hit their sexual peak at around 40. Men's sexual peak is declining from the age of 18. So really, we're fucked, and not in the best way that we would like to be. So if you can't withstand relationship issues like having problems in lockdown, and not having sex with somebody, that really isn't the biggest deal right now, guys. The biggest problem that you have in your relationship is that sex is the most important thing. That's probably what the biggest problem would be in your relationship, if that's what's going on at the moment. So that's one thing. So anyway, are you kidding yourself? It's the first question to ask yourself. Is your relationship actually that good? Is your relationship worth fighting for? Because if you've got a shitty relationship, why are you fighting for it? Okay, so sit down, get a piece of paper, get a pen, sit down. What's the good things about a relationship? What are the good qualities? Have you got good communication? Have you got good sex? Are you attracted to this person? Are they kind to you? Are you kind to them? Do you grow together? Are you making each other better people? Because relationships should be that you've decided that you found this amazing, wonderful, lovely person, and you've decided to walk the path with them, because there's nobody else you want to walk the path with more than this person. And you feeling that isn't just enough. They have to reciprocate that as well. And what I see very commonly with people with low self-esteem is that they walk the path with somebody that they love that doesn't love them. And this is devastating to watch, because what you do is you get into a cycle of you making effort, you trying, the other person doesn't love you and doesn't treat you the way that they should, and so your self-esteem crumbles. The more your self-esteem crumbles, the more that you become dependent and codependent on this person to try and make you feel better. People harp on about kind of where the relationship was in the beginning, but as I've said a million times, people can bring their A game for the first few months. If they're not bringing that A game after 3, 6, 9 months, you've got to question yourself why that is. If you're dealing with people who are abusive, have abusive tendencies, they will be the best person that you've ever met. Okay, in the first sort of 3 to 6 months, most people can hide their real selves for about 3 months, and then you'll start to see stuff creeping in. And if you've got a partner who oversteps your boundaries, disrespects you, and disrespect could be in a phrase of, treating you unkindly, calling you names, not respecting your space, not respecting your individuality, not letting you go out and see your friends, not, going out, not calling you and saying that they're going to be home late. Like, fucking hell, like how can you not ring somebody or give them a text? It takes 1 minute, it takes a minute to text somebody and say, I'm going to be home late, or ignores your calls, any of these things, these are disrespectful. If you're in a relationship with somebody that treats you like that, you've got to question why you're in a relationship with them. If people are going through a tough time, at the moment, I know people that, so for instance, having a child, women go through huge hormonal problems after, re-regulation. And this can cause a lot of mental health issues, postnatal depression, even kind of postnatal psychosis, some levels of depression. If your partner's going through something like that, then be there for them. Don't turn around and just be like, oh, well, they're having a problematic time, they're not treating me as I think that they should. There's a really big difference between somebody who's suffering and treating you badly. Obviously, to a degree of how badly they're treating you. And if they're being abusive and they're beating you, then that's not something to say, oh, they're going through trauma, I'm going to give them a pass. And it's a fine line of walking through enabling somebody and helping them, But it's like, if you can, sometimes it's a case of, people think in relationships it's 50-50, and it isn't. Sometimes you're carrying 80 and they're carrying 20, and that's like going through labor. The woman's carrying the child, the man isn't. The woman's dealing with the problems, and then afterwards maybe actually the man will end up carrying more because he's going out to work. He can do those things that the woman can't do in that moment because she's breastfeeding or exhausted or whatever, suffering from postnatal depression. So the pathway between being a good relationship and a bad relationship is often is that going between the two. But if you're in a relationship where that person does nothing for you, uses you, abuses you, treats you badly, you've got to ask yourself, are you kidding yourself? You know, is this relationship a good relationship? Because if it isn't, it's not worth working on. And love isn't enough, guys. You know, I know people want to say love's enough, but it really isn't. Love isn't enough. You know, love is an emotion that often isn't very sensible. You know, they say love is blind for a reason. You know, and if you're dating somebody who's bad for you and bad to you, loving them isn't enough. You know, and actually love one way needs to be reciprocated. You know, you could be absolutely head over heels with somebody, but they treat you badly. You know, I've had relationships like this where I've been absolutely in love with the person, but they've been bad to me. They've been disrespectful. They've stayed out all night. They haven't returned my calls. They've picked me up and dropped me when they wanted to. And if you're in a relationship like that, all it does is make you feel worse about yourself. It makes you feel more dependent upon the person, and it's not a good, healthy relationship, and you're worth more. So if you're thinking about breaking up, ask yourself, are you kidding yourself? Is this relationship worth saving? Because if it isn't worth saving, go to part 2 and go and have a look at what to do once you break up. The other question to ask yourself is, are you being pessimistic? So it's very easy after you've been in a relationship with somebody for a little while to get trapped in pessimism and to just focus on the disappointments and the bad things of the relationship. You know, and particularly if you're living with somebody and you're going through daily life, you know, work, babies, children, housework, all that caboodle, then that's a good word, isn't it? Caboodle. You know, then you're stuck in a situation where it's very easy to focus on the negative, you know, and it's easy to get entrenched in the stuff, the little minutiae of stuff that doesn't matter. So things like, oh, you left the toilet seat up. Oh, you didn't put the cap on the toothbrush. You know, I tidy up after you. You didn't say please. You didn't say thank you. You're late by 5 minutes. You know, all these kind of little things that people start to look at, and then it builds and builds and builds to be something where, you know, it becomes an incommunicable problem where you actually just resent your partner. You know, and why is that? You know, why are we allowing ourselves to become so entrenched in the minutiae and the misery of the day to day? Well, often because people aren't looking after their relationship the way that they should. And so what you're doing is coexisting with somebody, but you're doing the day-to-day poop, but you're not finding anything joyful in that time. And what you must do is make time for joy, make time for love, make time for reconnection with your partner, regular date nights, regular time together, regular time apart. You know, you need to make sure that you're focusing on finding joy in the relationship. So, you know, are you being pessimistic? You know, are you just focusing on the negative? You know, our brains are hardwired to just think about the negative. You know, because you know, assuming and being positive that the saber-toothed tiger isn't going to eat you is going to get you killed. You know, assuming that you might have enough, you know, oh, we'll find food this winter, we'll be fine. A positive attitude, an optimistic attitude doesn't save people. Okay, and you have had thousands of years of evolution hardwiring your brain to be negative, to look for the pessimistic. Okay, to look for the negative, to assume that everything's going to go wrong, and so our brains catastrophize as a default. And so you have to work really fucking hard, really hard to not be a pessimistic cow. Okay, and this works for boys or girls, whatever. We're all cows. Okay, so you need to make sure that you are particularly focusing on your partner's good qualities. And so it's really important to sit down and make lists. You know, if you're in a pessimistic state, sit down, stop focusing on the negative. And this is only if your relationship is worth saving, but it's also if it's not. You know, this can be a really good strategy to help you to work out whether it's worth saving or not. So sit down. What are your partner's qualities? What attracted you to them in the first place? What experiences have you been through that are positive, that are negative? You know, what is the factual, resonance of your relationship? What does your relationship actually look like? You know, and sit down, pen and paper. I tell you a million times, the pen's mightier than the sword in most regards. So sit down, who are they? Who is your partner? Who are they genuinely? Not who you think they are, not who you want them to be, not who you think they could be. Who are they? Because a lot of times, people who are in relationships that are shit sit down and they go, but they were so good to me in the first few months. And it's like, everybody's fucking good to you in the first few months. Nobody's going to attract a partner. A narcissist isn't going to attract somebody that they can feed on by being a shit to them in the first few months. They're gonna bring their A game. Toxic people are the nicest people you will ever meet when you first meet them. And then after 3 months, the stuff will start to trickle in. The abuse will start to trickle in. If you don't, go and watch my domestic violence video if you haven't seen it before. I'll link it somewhere. Because there's a process called boiling the toad, okay? You don't take a toad and whack him in boiling water. He's going to jump out if he can. What you do is you put the toad in cold water and you slowly, slowly, slowly turn the temperature up. And this is what toxic, abusive people do. Okay, and this is how they catch people. This is how they entrap people into toxic, shitty, horrible relationships. And you need to question yourself, are you being blind? Are you kidding yourself? Are you kidding yourself? Are you being pessimistic? Okay, really 2 important questions before you even consider leaving your relationship. Okay, are you being pessimistic? Are you kidding yourself? If you're kidding yourself and you know you're kidding yourself, and you sit down and you look at the qualities of your partner, you look at the experiences that you've had, you look at the fact of your relationship about who they are, what they do, why you're with them. Okay, so ask yourself these top 3 questions. Why are you with them? Because if this person doesn't make you feel better and they're not loving and kind and wonderful to you, why are you with them? Because the question then that follows through is, I'm afraid to be on my own. I'm worried about being lonely. I can't live on my own. I have a financial reason to want to be with them. There's another reason outside of the relationship as to why you would be with them. And then that's something that you need to work on to make sure that you are a secure, independent person, that you're not having to, deal with violence or trauma or just a shitty relationship to deal with that other issue. Okay, so why are you with them? Because if you're not with them because they make you a better person, because they're loving, they're kind, they're wonderful, they're awesome, they make you feel great, you shouldn't be in a relationship. Okay, obviously that's a bit black and white. If they're going through depression and there's other issues, then consider that. Consider working on the relationship. So why are you staying? Why are you with them? Why are you staying? If you're staying because of something other than the fact that you are happy, you love them, the relationship's a good one, that you're better off together than you would be apart, then you need to question why you're staying with that person. If you're staying for the children and it's a traumatic, abusive relationship, you're being a dick, and you're also what you're doing is you're transferring all the pain and suffering onto your children instead of having, dealing with it as an adult and as the protector of your kids. You shouldn't stay in a traumatic relationship with the kids. Imagine how that's going to make the kids feel when they find out when they're older that, mummy or daddy dealt with abuse and trauma because of me. How would you think your kids are going to feel with that? Do you think about the trauma that you're going to put on them? Trust me, no kid needs an abusive parent in their life. Ever, full stop. Kids from divorced parents, separated parents that are happy and fulfilled and secure and not in abusive situations are going to turn out 1 billion times more healthy and more stable than 2 people that stay together in trauma and then blamed it on the kids. So no, that's not an excuse. That's not a reason to stay with somebody. Financial issues. Okay, a lot of people stay with people because they think, I'm financially tied to this person, whatever. Man the fuck up, guys. Come on. I understand that it's difficult. to split apart. I've broken up with numerous people in my life. I've lived with some of them. My finances have been tied to some of them. You know, I would always recommend, my partner and me at the moment, we have separate finances. We have a joint account. The joint account is for things that we need to pay. And then other than that, my money's my money. His money's my money. No, I'm joking. My money's my money. His money's his money. And we keep it separate because then we both don't need to, you don't need to be entangled with your partner. You know, you've chosen to walk the path together because you love each other. It doesn't have to be this weird fucked up enmeshment thing where it's like, oh, we're a two-headed beast. That's not healthy. Keep your keep your finances separate. Keep his finances separate. Have a little pot. We've got a pot for joint fun. We have a holiday fund that we both put money in. You know, we pay half and half for things together. And then we've got a joint account that bills go out of. That's it. Don't throw all your money in together. Keep your things separate. Keep his things separate. And then you're never going to be sitting there worried about, oh, I don't know how I'm going to financially support myself. And I get it's going to be difficult if you're a single mother or you don't have a job or whatever. But I'll tell you what, going through the trauma of leaving somebody and going and manning up, getting a job or going on benefits or whatever, that trauma is significantly less than staying in an abusive or toxic or traumatic relationship that doesn't fulfill you, will never fulfill you, and actually is wrecking your life. Paul agrees. Is that right? It's right, isn't it? Yeah, he's saying it's right. Look, if the cat knows, you guys should know. So the other question is, why are you questioning the relationship? Okay, why are you questioning your relationship? What is it that's led you into feeling that? Now, sometimes it's just that you have become too invested in this person and it's put you off kilter. You know, and when you spend all your time investing in the other person, what you're actually doing is neglecting yourself. And like I just said, you know, I think it's really, really important and to be selfish. I don't know what people are talking about, all this selflessness and all this sort of stuff. You know, if you're not selfish and you don't look after yourself, you don't care for yourself and you don't show up to the world as your best self, you're not your best self for your partner. You're not your best self in the relationship. So you giving everything to your partner to try and make them happy, to try and make the relationship work is never going to work. Because what you're doing is you will end up feeling like an empty vessel of being used and abused, okay? Now, yes, at times we have to give to our partners that sometimes you carry at 80%, sometimes you carry them 20% of the time. It depends on what each one of you is going through. You know, if I'd broken my ankle, and I've said this before in another video, but if I'd broken my ankle, my partner's not going to carry me for 100 meters and then put me down and then say, you've got to carry me 100 meters now because I just carried you for 100 meters. It's not 50-50 like that. It's transient. It isn't linear. It goes up and down. Sometimes I carry my partner 80% when he's having a hard time. Sometimes he carries me 80% when I'm having a hard time. That's the sharing responsibility thing, not this 50-50 of like, I did this, you did this, I did this, you did this. It's not a point scoring thing. We're in it together because we love each other. And I know that when I support him when he's having a rough time, he'll support me at some point when I'm having a rough time. And we look after each other in that regard. But when I'm looking after him and he's looking after me, it isn't at the expense of me looking after myself as well. It's not at the expense of him looking after himself as well. So, you know, put your own oxygen mask on first. It's not a case of like, oh, I'll starve so you can eat. Because what? You know, and that's what people are doing emotionally. That's what people are doing, you know, energetically. They're saying, oh, I give everything to my partner and I'll just starve because that makes me a good partner. No, it makes you a doorman. It makes you an idiot. Paul agrees. You know, you can't be in a situation where you are giving everything else to one other person and expecting them to make you happy or that to make you happy, because it won't. You have to care for yourself. You have to look after yourself. And as I've said a million times, a proper healthy relationship is you two walking parallel to each other, walking the path together because you want to. Paul agrees. Okay, walking the path together because you want to, not this messed up enmeshment, codependent nonsense, which is like, I'll never survive without you. I know I'll survive without my partner. I could leave tomorrow. I'll be absolutely fine. Sounds heartless. I'll be sad. I love him. He's great. But I don't need him. I don't need him. I don't need him to make me happy. I don't need him to make me secure. I don't need him to make me feel respected. I don't need him to make me feel financially secure. I don't need him. You know, and when you need somebody, that's where it becomes all toxic. And it's because you haven't worked on yourself and because you've given your energy to somebody, which means that you have become off balance and you need that person. I've put so much energy into you. I need you. Fill me back up. Ugh. It's a horrible, horrible emotion. When somebody starts to rely on you that much, it's repulsive. And that person that you're doing that to is going to become repulsed by you, and it will wreck the relationship. Okay? So yes, in the moment we might need our partners to support us, but I don't need my partner. I want him. That's a big difference. Okay? So why are you with your partner? Why are you staying? Okay? And why are you questioning the relationship? Because if it's a case that I need them because I'll never survive on my own. I mean, what the fuck? Come on. Come on. How long have you been with your partner? How long were you single for the first, like, however long, 15 years, 18 years, 20 years, however long you were single for the first part of your life? Come on, people. You were born whole. Work on your wholeness alone. And then you will find somebody that you want instead of somebody that you need. Real talk. Okay, so question these questions. You are considering breaking up. Okay, are you kidding yourself in the relationship or are you being pessimistic? Work out which one that is. Okay, to work out that, think about your qualities of the relationship, the qualities of your partner, the experiences that you've had together, and looked at the factful point. What is the fact of the relationship? What is your relationship about? And then consider these questions. Why are you with them? Why are you staying? And why are you questioning the relationship? And when you're thinking about this, when you're talking about this, talk about who they actually are, what your relationship actually is, not what you think it can be, not what you think they could be, not what you could change them into, none of that crap. What actually is it? Okay? And this will give you a good answer about whether or not you should break up with them or not. Which leads us on to part 2. I'm going to put a thing, the breakup. Okay. So, you've decided to break up. Now what do we do? Well, you probably feel like shit. You're probably a bit heartbroken. You're probably feeling really anxious. Your heart's probably pounding. A lot of people don't sleep. They can't eat. They can't focus. The stress of breaking up it can often feel completely and utterly overwhelming. And a lot of the time it brings on a panic attack. Of level of anxiety of like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? How am I going to survive? Nobody will ever love me. Okay, catastrophizing is not going to help you here. Being proactive and being what's the word? I don't know. Rational, living in the reality, whatever. Okay, being proactive and being honest with yourself at this current moment of time. Don't catastrophize. As I say, the caveman brain is going to make you pessimistic. It's going to tell you that you'll never be loved again. You're going to be thrown out the clan. You're going to die alone with cats eating your face, which could be the worst ways to die. But what you need to do in this moment is stop catastrophizing and start looking at the positives. Okay, you will find that before the person, you'll be fine after the person. Okay, real talk. Work on yourself. You will survive. Okay, you will survive a breakup. No doubt you've broken up with people before and you survived those breakups. Remember that you are a strong, confident, successful person and you're going to be okay, whatever happens. You were born alone. If you die alone, it's not the worst thing that could happen to you. Okay, so what do we do if we've broken up? The first thing that you need to start doing immediately, okay, immediate response, like, oh my God, we've just broken up. What do I do now? Self-care, okay? You need to make sure that you are getting the practicals down of self-care. And we're not talking about going and reading books and doing affirmations and meditations. Let's get really down to basics with self-care. Food, water, sleep, exercise. Food, water, sleep, exercise. These are the 4 things that you need to focus on. in that immediate response when you've broken up with your partner. Okay, you're going to be feeling like hell. You probably won't have slept. You probably won't have had a very good night of it. You're probably feeling like absolute shit. You're probably basically suffering from heartbreak, depression, grief. Okay, now remember that a breakup is like a bereavement. You are grieving the loss of the relationship. Bereavement goes through a few stages. There's the 7 stages. I'm going to try and list them. I probably won't remember them. Denial, anger. Yeah, I can't remember them. But you know, you'll go through a process where I'll try and put it up somewhere about the 7 stages because I've forgotten them. But you'll go through a process where you're like, oh my God, this isn't happening. And then you'll feel like, you know, that's the denial. Then you'll get angry, and then you'll go through a process of kind of feeling sad, the feeling of loss. Then you'll come to acceptance at some point. But before we get to that point, you need to make sure that you're focusing on your physical health in that moment and doing those 4 basic things of self-care. Try and eat some food. If you can't eat food because you've got a box of grief in your throat and it feels like you're trying to swallow past a matchbox, try and get a smoothie and try and get some soup, okay? Not nourishing your body will not make you feel better. Okay, so eating is important. You know, try and eat something carby because carbs help to create serotonin, okay, which is the happy hormone. So this is why we go for comfort food. Get some potatoes, get some pasta, get something yummy, okay? Try and get something. Don't go for the sugar, don't go for the ice cream. I know that the films show you all this all the time. They might make you feel good in the interim, but what it will do is give you a sugar crash and make you feel worse. So have something like some complex starches, carbs of some form. Try and make them complex. Try and not as refined, but you know, brown wheat, whole pasta, you know, brown rice, all of these sorts of things. They will help to create serotonin in your brain, and they will make you feel happier. Water, hydrate the hell out of yourself, okay? Because you will have been crying, you will have been, you know, talking, screaming, whatever, whatever you've had to do in that process in the moment. Make sure you rehydrate. If you are dehydrated by just 5%, it can create a cortisol reaction, which is the stress hormone, which makes you feel worse. So trust me, eat some food, drink some water. Sounds glib, but it will make you feel better. Sleep. I know this is a hard one. I know that you don't want to sleep when you're feeling like shit. But please try and sleep, okay? Please try and get some rest. If you need to, take something like valerian, hops, passion flower. These are natural herbs that help you to feel relaxed and help to sedate you. You can go and buy them. Nital have got a herbal one. You can buy Boots' own brand. You can buy these natural, calmy, sleepy things all over the place. Look for hops. Like in beer, look for valerian, which is a herb, and passion flower or passiflora is the Latin for it. And look for those 3 things. Those 3 things will help you to relax and go to sleep. Take them before bed. You can even take them if you're having a bit of a panic attack in that time. Take some valerian, take some passion flower, take some hops. It will help to bring down that anxiety reaction and act as if you were popping a natural Valium. Okay, which I don't advocate because barbiturates make you very, very unhealthy. So always go for natural if you can. Then try something like the havening technique. Okay, now the havening or the havening technique, whichever one you want to call it, is a process where we focus on calming ourselves, going through breath motion, and we do a process where we move our arms down here. And this is kind of like what would have been done to us when we were cosseted, when we were babies. It's actually very soothing. It's kind of like giving yourself a self hug. You know, focus on the breath. You know, tell yourself everything's going to be okay, you can get through this, and do this process of havening like this. I'll try and link link one to Paul McKenna's process, which is really good. I learned this off of Paul McKenna, and I've used it. I've used it with my clients, and it can be really helpful. So I'll link that down below. So deal with the immediate fallout first. So once you've done all the immediate self-care stuff, you've brought yourself down off of that, you know, tirade of anxiety and feeling like crap. You need to think about, you know, preparing yourself for the immediate fallout. And the immediate fallout could be that somebody's having to move out, the financial consequences of not being in the relationship, visitation rights for children, You know, whatever it is, start to be proactive and realistic about what you can do in this moment. Okay, don't think about stuff that you can't do, think about what you can do. Okay, and when we deal with the things that we can do, it makes us feel in more control, and it can help to ease some of that anxiety. So consider, you know, do you need to contact a friend? Do you need to find somewhere to live? Do you need to relocate? What is it that you need to do in that immediate moment, in this moment? Once you've calmed yourself down and done those immediate self-care processes, what do you need to extract yourself from the relationship? You know, and it could be something that you need to find somewhere to live. It could be about dealing with your finances. It could be, you know, having that conscious uncoupling from the other person, which tends to look from, you know, a physical, a spiritual, emotional, and a financial basis. So put those things into practice. Think about how you can extract yourself in a healthy way, and as easy a way as possible, and that can help you to feel in more control. Okay, so the other option is, and this is part 3, is that you are going to work on the relationship. So you've gone through all of the stuff in step 1. You've recognized that they're a good person, that you're being pessimistic, that they're worth being with, that the qualities, the experience, and the factfulness of the actual relationship is worth saving. You've recognized that you're with them for good reasons, and you're not with them for all the bad reasons that we talked about in part 1. If you've missed it, go back and watch it. So how do we work on a relationship? How do we get a relationship that we're feeling a bit crappy in to being back to where it was when we started, or back into some form of the honeymoon period? Well, we need to be realistic. For one, is that the fact that the honeymoon period is a temporary state. And it's a temporary state because, you know, you can't live in the honeymoon period forever. Life gets on top of us, stress gets on top of us, and we change. And the relationship should change. It should be evolving into being something different to what we had when we started, because otherwise, you know, you're staying on level 1 and you're not getting up to level 10. So, but, you know, in the process sometimes of moving through those levels, moving through states of relationship, having children, getting married, all of these sorts of things, life can get on top of us. We can focus on other things other than the relationship, and it can drag all the relationship. It can bring it down, and it can make it feel same. And this is why people have affairs, you know, because they meet somebody and they start investing in the new person, and that's fun and it's exciting, and it's a bit risky, and we're not sure where things are going to go, and it brings back that spice of life. But actually, most people who cheat regret cheating. They regret it because all they've done is swap one set of problems for another set of problems. The new relationship is going to go through all the stages that the old relationship has gone through. At some point, you're going to find that the fun and the spark goes out of that relationship, and then what are you going to do? You could go through a process of instant gratification, of just cheating on every party you get to around year 3, when things start to go really downhill, and then what? You know, you're in this instant gratification loop that you're always seeking the excitement. And really, the best thing that you could do is, you know, keep the excitement in your relationship. Work on the relationship you've got instead of investing in the new relationship, because all that's going to do is still lead you down this path of instant gratification. And if you don't know what my idea of that is, I will link a podcast about what I think on instant gratification. So how can we rebuild a relationship? You know, the first of all is start having fun with your partner. What did you do when you were dating? What attracted you to this person in the first place? Why did you like them? What was it that you were doing to have fun? This could be going out for dinner. It could be going out for cocktails. Now, I know in lockdown, this is a bit difficult if you're watching this in November 2020, but get creative. Make a restaurant in your dining room. You know, both of you cook a course. One of you do pudding, one of you do a main course or something. Get a bottle of champers. Just do whatever. You know, you can recreate this stuff if you want to. If you've got children and you go, oh, but the kids are kids. Send the kids upstairs. Get in control of your life and your family, and say to the children, you need to go upstairs because mummy and daddy need some time together. If you're the mummy and the daddy don't have that time together, there is no family. So putting the kids first and doing everything the kids want is going to wreck everything. The children exist because of the original team. Work on the team, people. Okay? The children at some point are going to get up and go off and live their own lives. Don't make your children your entire focus when you're in a relationship, because without the relationship, there is no family. Revelation. Yeah, work on the relationship. The most important thing in your family is the mummy and the daddy's relationship. Okay, not at the expense of the children, but the children shouldn't have everything at the expense of the relationship, because the children exist because of the first relationship, the relationship in the first place. Okay, so make sure that you're working on your relationship with your partner and that you two stay a team. Your kids will try and get in the middle of you two. They will put you against each other. They'll set you against each other. Don't let them do it. Okay, don't let your kids manipulate you, and don't let your kids become the most important thing in your life. Put your own oxygen mask on first. You can't feed your kids all your food and fucking starve. It isn't going to work. It's the same process that we talked about with your relationship with your partner in the first video, in the first part, okay? So serve yourself. Put your oxygen mask on first. Be selfish in the first point, and then serve your partner, and then serve your kids. Because your kids wouldn't exist, and your kids won't have a family or any of the things that they've got if the relationship crumbles. So work on your relationship as a first paramount. And to do that, you have to have some discipline, guys. You've got to have some discipline, and you've got to schedule this stuff. If you find that you just go months and months and months, and then you suddenly think, God, when was the last time we went out? Schedule it. Okay, couples diary, couples calendar on your phone, whatever. Set up one on Google. You can set up a joint calendar on Google. Put it in, schedule it. Stick to the schedule. This is date night. We're having it because without the date night, the relationship crumbles, the family crumbles, everything else goes to shit. Okay, so schedule this time in, and schedule time for sex if you need to. If you're finding you're going months and months without sex because you're exhausted, you're tired, and other stuff get in the way, of course it's going to get in the way. There's always going to be something else to do than having sex. It's like doing exercise. You know, if you find that you can't get to the gym, put it in your calendar and then stick to it. And you'll find like, oh, I've been to the gym 3 times this week. Why? Because I put it in my schedule and I didn't let anything else get in the way of it. And you need to do that with sex sometimes. It sounds really like clinical, but sometimes scheduling sex is the best thing to do. So find some fun together, get date nights on the go, go out, go for walks, reconnect, you know, walk hand in hand and just go for walks and talk, you know, just talk to each other. But you need to have stuff to talk about, okay? And this is where it sounds a bit counterintuitive, but spend time apart as well. Okay, make sure that you're focusing on yourself, focusing on your own relationships, focusing on your own hobbies. When you go and work on yourself to the exterior of the relationship, when you come back, you have more to give to your partner because you've got stuff to talk about. You've got stuff to share. You feel good. You feel good. You feel sexy. You feel fun. They think you're fun. They think you're sexy. They think you're good. Yep. Oddly enough, the relationship gets better. So make sure that you spend time apart. Make sure you spend time together. People, and this is a woman thing to do, I'd say probably more than a man thing, but we put all of ourselves onto our partners sometimes. You know, we stay at home, we cook for them, we just want to spend time with them, we wait for them to come home. Okay, that's great, but then you're like there all the time and you've got nothing to talk to them about, and they feel like your only life is them, and it's a feeling, and then they don't want to spend time with you, and it just goes all shit. So keep focusing on yourself. Keep that balance and that perspective on yourself first, then on the relationship, then on the children, if you have them. Communication. Communication is so important, guys. Do you know the amount of people that come to me and ask me for advice, and I'm like, have you talked to your partner about this? And they're like, no. And you're like, well, why are you talking to me about it? Like, I can't help you. Well, I can help you. I'm amazing. But I can't fix your partner and I can't fix your relationship. You need to talk to your partner about it. So don't have better communication, more open, more truthful communication with your friends or your life coach or me or whomever it is that you're talking to than you have with your partner. That's a massive red flag if you're talking to me more openly than you are with your partner. My partner knows me better than anyone else. He knows me inside out. My best friend knows me inside out. They're probably pretty much on a par. You know, I don't talk to my best friend about stuff that I don't talk to my partner about. You know, I don't go to her and go, oh, you know, he said this. Like, if he said something I don't like, I'm telling him, I'm not telling her. Because what happens when you start to go and tell your friends and start to go and tell them and you haven't spoken to your partner about it, is that you get their opinion, their ideas about what's going on. And actually that can sometimes be really helpful, but sometimes it can pull you even off more. Because actually the person that you're talking to isn't, like, has a vested interest in it. You know, because they're your best friend. They want to see you do this. They want to see you do that. They've got ideas. They've also only ever heard the bad stuff most of the time. Okay. They probably only ever told you about what they hate about you probably go and diss your partner all the time. Oh, he did this, he did that, he did the other. And so most likely your partner or your friends will be like, dump him, he's an asshole. Or dump her, she's an asshole. You know, and it's not really balanced. You know, if you want to come to advice from a life coach, because I haven't got a vested interest other than you being happy and secure. And I also haven't heard you talking smack about your partner over and over and over again. And sometimes that's why going to family and friends just makes it worse. So consider that, because they're probably not the most balanced and kind of unbiased people to go and have conversations with about your partner. But if you're having better communication with your friends or your family about your relationship, big red flag. This is Paul, by the way. You know, so communicate with your partner. Make sure that you are talking to your partner as much, if not more, well, always more than your friend, your life coach, or anyone else. Okay, because you two have to fix the problems together. And if they don't know what the problem is because you're talking to your mate about it, not them, yeah, it's an instant road to relationship death. So communication. And then finding sex again, you know, yes, this can be really difficult because if you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. Okay, question why you're not feeling it. Are you depressed? Have you got a hormonal problem? Are you too stressed? You know, you need to start to work on those things to make sure that you bring your libido back up again. If it's an issue that your libido's down, speak to your doctor about it. Look at your diet. Are you exercising? Are you overweight? Are you overstressed? Are you overtired? You know, all of these things will impact your libido. Talked about it in the first part, but they will impact your libido. And that will in turn affect your relationship, because we probably do put a little bit too much on sex because of the culture that we live in. But sex is an important part of a relationship. It builds intimacy, it builds trust, and it makes it a different relationship to just, you know, being best friends. But be aware that sex will drop off as you get older. It will drop off as you have kids. It will drop off, you know, in lockdown when we're not feeling good, so work on the problem, work on the reason why you're not having sex. You know, is it because you're stressed? Is it because you're tired? Is it because your children are getting in the way? Tell your kids to go upstairs and make whoopee with your partner. I don't know what that was, but just get back to it. Take your kids down your mum's house. Get a babysitter. Get a hotel. Do something to get back in that groove with your partner, because you love them at some point. At some point, you were so horny for your partner that you were probably having it off all the time. You couldn't keep your hands off each other. So what happened between then and there? Life, stress, you know, comfortability, familiarity breeds contempt. Yeah, this is what's happening in lockdown. So take some time apart, take some time to have fun together, take some time to build that intimacy. How do we build intimacy? Communication, spending time together. Touch is really important. Do you kiss and hug your partner when you leave the house? Do you tell them that you love them? Do you spend time with them? Do you stroke their hands and arms? Do you hold hands? Do you do all those little things that you did in the beginning of the relationship? Because if you stop doing that stuff and then you're like, I don't know why we don't have intimacy anymore. Well, that's why. Okay? Do the little stuff that you used to do when you were dating. Okay, and maybe step the hell away from sex. Maybe just say, okay, we're going to start kissing more. We're going to start hugging more. I'm going to hold his hand. I'm going to hold her hand. I'm going to give you each other a massage. Do the stuff that you liked when you started, you know, and think about trying to woo that person. You brought your A game in the beginning of the relationship. You've become complacent. You've gotten comfortable, and you've stopped bringing your A game. When was the last time you bought a present for your partner? When was the last time you bought a gift, cooked a meal, did something nice for them? You know, do nice things for your partner. Make sure that you're with a partner that does nice stuff for you. Me and my partner buy each other little gifts all the time. We do little things for each other. If I go to the shop, I'll get him something to make him feel loved and special. If he goes to the shop, he gets me something that makes me feel loved and special. When we leave the house, we tell each other we love each other when we leave the house, because I think if I walk out of here and I get hit by a car and die, I know it sounds really serious, but when you think about your own mortality and you think about that this could be your final moment, it stops you behaving like a dickhead and taking everything for granted. So when I leave the house, I tell my partner he loves me, that I love him. I imagine leaving the house. You love me, and then just walk out. That's me to a T. But, you know, when you're leaving, tell your partner you love them, hug them, kiss them, hold them, you know, make them feel special. You know, be respectful of them. Treat them like you treated them when you started. And then you'll start to build that intimacy. Have fun. Book date nights in. We use question night. Okay, so we do this thing and I think it's brilliant. Obviously I do it, but we do it, but it's really good. We have fun doing it. We get little like questions. If you Google 100 questions to ask your partner to build intimacy, or 100 questions to get to know somebody, or things like this. Okay, and we get some wine, we light the fire, we put some candles on, some music, we sit down and we talk, and we ask questions like, what was your most embarrassing moment? What did you want to be when you were a child? And we build intimacy together by getting to know each other. And when you go on dates with somebody, you ask them all these questions. You're like, where did you go to school? What did you do? You're getting to know each other. You're building intimacy. But then after a while, you've been with this person for a certain period of time and you're like, I know them. I know everything about them. I don't need to worry. And you stop asking. You stop asking them how their day was, or how they're feeling, or what their dreams are, or what their goals are, and then you wonder why you haven't got any intimacy, or it's not as fun, because you've stopped doing the stuff that you were doing when you were falling in love. So, how to work on the relationship? Bring back fun. Bring back intimacy. Spend time apart so you've got stuff to talk about when you come back together. Spend time together, okay? Make sure you've got really, really open communication, and work on having sex with this person again. Make it fun. If you've got to do role play, do role play. If you've got to rock up to a hotel and pretend you don't know each other and you're having an affair, whatever. Whatever works for you. Put on an accent, put on an outfit. Try something new together. Do something kinky. Do whatever, whatever works for you, whatever floats your boat. Just do it, and do it together, because if you don't do it together, you'll probably start doing it with somebody else. And that won't work, because all you're doing is swapping one set of problems for a new set of problems. Cheating will not make you happy. I've done it and I regret doing it. And sorry to the person I cheated on. So what do you do if you have broken up with your partner and you're now thinking about working on a new relationship? Well, people, sit down and think about the relationship that you want before you think about dating. Okay, before you get in a relationship, before you put yourself on Tinder or Bumble or whatever, however you find people, going out clubbing or whatever, before you do any of that stuff, sit down and prepare for what kind of a relationship you want. Okay, and this works from these things. What are your non-negotiables? What are your expectations? What qualities are you looking for in a partner? And why do you want a relationship? Okay. Ask yourself those questions, and it will save you a whole heap of problems and trauma and shitty, horrible relationships with idiots. So first off, what are your non-negotiables? Okay, so these are things that you want and expect from a relationship, and you will not negotiate on, no matter how handsome the person is, no matter how nice her bum is, no matter how lovely they are, no matter how great they are. If they don't have, if they have got this non-negotiable that you're with, it's a deal breaker. No thank you, sir, madam, off you pop. Next. And it sounds ruthless, but I'm telling you now, if you break your non-negotiables, you use your deal breakers, and you go with somebody that is with a deal breaker, you are opening up Pandora's box of pain and suffering for your relationship. It isn't gonna work. Okay? Get your deal breaker and don't fucking break them. It's revelationary, I know. Sit down. What are your non-negotiables? Money, religion, politics. Like, are you going to date a Nazi if you're a Jew? Probably not. If you're left-wing, you're staunchly left-wing, are you going to date a Tory? If you're a vegan, are you going to date somebody who fox hunts? You want kids, they don't want kids, you're going to date them? Come on, guys. But the things that most people have non-negotiables about are children, finances, religion, politics, those sorts of things. You know, if you're an avid traveler and they don't have a passport and they hate traveling and they don't want to get in an airplane, do you think that your relationship is going to work? It could do, but why are you causing yourself more problem? Unless that person is the absolute fucking bee's knees, which they probably aren't, because they aren't matching your bloody deal breakers, so it's pointless. Okay, I've probably told you this story before. I had a guy come around to pick me up for a date. Okay, came into my house, sat down on my sofa. My little cat Paul, who's been agreeing with me and walking around, sat next to him, and he went, why is he sitting next to me? What does he want? And I was like, he lives here, you jackass. This isn't going to work. We didn't go on the date. I threw him out, basically, because I was like, you hate my cats. My cats are my babies. They live here. You're disrespectful. I'm done. Because that's a deal breaker. If you don't like cats, you hate cats, you've got an allergy to cats, this is never going to bloody work. I've got 2 cats, they're my children, and I will always have cats, okay? Because they are my children, I fucking adore them, they make my life better. So if you hate cats, deal breaker, okay? Sorry to people who hate cats, but deal breaker, I ain't going to date you. I'm engaged, so I'm not going to date anyone anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But, you know, think about what your non-negotiables are. Religion, race, politics, whatever your thing is, you know, that is a deal breaker for you. Get really honest with yourself. You know, if you really, you know, if you're financially stable, are you going to date somebody who brings nothing to the table? Are you happy to date somebody who's got no money? You know, if you are religious and you're very religious, and are you willing to date an atheist? If you know, are you racist? You know, whatever it is, get real with yourself about who and what you're willing to date. Okay, and being honest with yourself about your conflicts, about your opinions, about your issues, about your prejudices. You know, get very real with it, and then it will save you a lot of problems in the long term. You know, class, race, religion, politics, ethics, these things cause massive problems down the line. Just get real with who you are, ask the right questions in the first place, and then, you know, you're not going to get yourself in a situation. And you might be going to me like, how do I know what their ethics are? You fucking ask them what their ethics are in the first 3 dates. It sounds a bit ruthless, but get to know the person. What do you think about religion? What do you think about politics? Do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? And I know people go, oh, I don't want to look needy. I don't want to be like interviewing them. Oh God, don't mention kids or marriage in the first few dates. Well, it's a bit bloody stupid, isn't it? Like, communication, but don't talk to your partner, you know, don't talk to the person that you're having a prospective relationship with. If you're having more intensive questions in an interview, like, than you are on a date, no wonder you're having problems with your relationships. Be ruthless with what you ask. Expect communication and honesty, and then you won't break your negotiables. So what are your expectations in a relationship? What do you want? What do you expect from your partner? Again, if they're not bringing their A game in the first 3 months, they're sure as heck not going to be bringing it in 3 years. So think about what you need in a relationship, and then start to look at the qualities that you want from your partner. Okay, so are they kind? Are they loving? Are they passionate about something? You know, don't be too specific. And we're not talking about physical qualities, guys. Don't be so vacuous to sit there and go, oh, I want somebody with a 6-pack, and I want somebody who's 10 foot tall. And like, you know, think about what you're bringing to the game for a start. You know, if you're an ugly little shrew, no, that's terrible. I shouldn't say that. But if you are, and you've got, you know, you don't respect yourself, you're not good, you haven't got anything to bring to the table, you shouldn't be going for, you know, a 10. And I'm not talking about a 10 physically. I'm talking about a 10 personality-wise. You know, if you're a 3 and you've done no self-work, and then you're like, I'm going to marry that guru, you're delusional. People on a high level of vibration that work really hard on themselves and have their A game in check, they're not going to want to date you, you know? So work on yourself individually and singly, and then you'll get the people that you want to be with. But it starts with that self-work. And I talked about that in the part 1 about, you know, what to do when you've broken up with somebody. Okay, and then why do you want a relationship? Do you want a relationship because you're bored or lonely, because you feel like crap on your own, because you need somebody? If you're coming from a place of need, you're going to attract every Tom, Dick and Harry that wants to be abusive to you, or Sally, whatever, that wants to be abusive to you because they can, because you're needy, because you've got no self-respect. Okay, so in that moment, make sure that you're working on your self-esteem. And how to work on your self-esteem, okay? Affirmations. Talk to yourself positively to counteract all of the negative stuff that we say in our head. We have 80,000 thoughts a day on average, and 75% of them are negative because of the way that the caveman brain has grown to not be positive, okay? So make sure that you are doing affirmations and you're talking to yourself kindly. I am great. I am awesome. I am worthy. I'm worthy of love. I'm kind. I'm loving. I've got a podcast, not a podcast, I've got a meditation, so I'll put a link to that up there. Find hobbies that make you feel good about yourself. Get out, get busy. You know, if you want a relationship because you're bored, it's because you're not doing enough with your time. So make sure that you're focusing on finding some hobbies and working on yourself, whether that's physically or mentally or both. And it should be both, physically and mentally, emotionally and spiritually. You know, get a life coach if you need to. I've got client spaces if you need to talk to somebody, if you need some help, get in touch. And we could just have an hour together to work on things and put some things in progress for yourself. But affirmations, finding hobbies, working on yourself, reading books. Self-help books are really helpful if you actually, you know, work on what they're saying in it. I've got a whole load of podcasts above that you can go and have a look at. Go and have a look at my channel. Get onto it. There's a support group that you can come and join in Facebook as well. So, you know, DM me or send me a message on here or whatever. Leave a comment below and I can link you guys to that. But work on yourself as an individual, physically, mentally, emotionally. And then what you'll do is you'll come to a relationship when you're ready, okay? Because you want to be with somebody, not because you need to be with somebody. And when you go through that process, actually what you do is you get with somebody who's worth being with. Okay, and when you want somebody, you want them because they're awesome and they make your life better. When you need somebody, it's because you need them because you're not good enough on your own and life is bad without them. And that just leads you into traumatic, horrible cycles. So I've covered a lot, guys. I put some timestamps below because I know this is going to be a long video. But to recap, you know, if you're thinking about breaking up, ask yourself questions. Why are you breaking up? You know, why do you want to break up? Are you kidding yourself and the relationship's shit? Or are you being pessimistic? Go back, have a look at part 1 and ask yourself all of those important questions. If you're going to break up, work on yourself, your self-care in the immediacy, then work on your self-esteem, and then begin to prepare for a new relationship after you've done all of those things that have worked on yourself. And take a look at part 4, I think it was, to go and have a look at that. When you're working on a relationship, look on building fun, building intimacy, spending time apart, working on communication, and work on sex. Go and look at that part to look on that. And most of all, guys, recognize that you have to put yourself first. You have to put yourself first at all times in your relationship because you are the only person that you're going to be spending the rest of your life with. Okay? So you first, your partner second, your kids third. That's that. There is no relationship without, you know, there is no family without the relationship, and there's no relationship without you bringing your A game and feeling good about yourself. So selfishness is selflessness. Put your oxygen mask on first. Look after yourself first. Build your self-esteem. Look after yourself in a relationship, outside of a relationship. When you do these things, you come to a relationship with much better, with better things to give to your partner, and the relationship's better because you're both looking after yourselves first, and then it's two whole happy people coming together to be happy together. You know, and remember that a relationship isn't this thing where we rescue each other, where we're half people coming and making a whole. It's two people deciding that they want to walk the path together because they're happier together. Okay, and if you're not like that in your relationship, question why. So I'm Laura, guys, from Law of Attraction. I'm a life coach, I'm a lecturer, and I'm an author. I've just brought out a new book